Well, welcome back to the WhenIHeardThis podcast. My name is Nate Robbins-Hoppe, and I'm here with Pastor Dr. Joseph Tillman, D-Min Jr.
Hey, man.
Hey. Good. Yeah. Cool. Man. Oh. Okay. All right. I guess this is going to be a me episode.
I was waiting for you to ask a question. You never did.
Oh. How are you?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Right. I was like, why?
You usually just go, hey, how's it going? I was
I just started blabbing away. And
yeah.
Sorry about
So
that.
that's what I was waiting for. But
Okay.
I guess.
My bad.
Okay.
my
At least
bad.
I think that's what you usually do. Or
No,
do I?
you asked me how are you doing today or whatever, and then I respond.
Oh, all right.
And you just kind of just staring at me.
I thought me getting your name right this time was going to be enough. Enough to.
I mean, I am proud of you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pastor Dr. Joseph Tillman, D-Min Jr.
Sure, that works. Yeah.
Cool.
Doing great.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Today we're talking about missionaries.
Yes, we are.
What
What is it you want from me?
Cool.
Yeah.
Just read the ad again. How about that?
Sure. Before we get started today with our questions, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Discipleship Group. The Discipleship Group is a systematic training for Christians who want to go deeper and grow stronger in their relationship with God. In these courses, Dr. Jay Zen brings you over 4 decades of study, pastoring, and teaching to equip the saints to make disciples. The Discipleship Group is a series of 6 books, each book consisting of 26 weeks. Therefore, it's 3 years of study. Each week has articles written by the author to read, a chapter from a supplemental book like The Passion for God or More Than a Carpenter, The Master Plan of Evangelism, and there's scripture readings each week from the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms. I've used the Discipleship Group resources for over a decade. I've used them in groups of 2 to 3 people. I've used them in small groups up to 12 people. And I can tell you, as a pastor, as someone who spends a lot of time making disciples and meeting with others, that the Discipleship Group resources are the best that I have found for growing in our faith and for encouraging us to go and make disciples ourselves. Go to discipleshipgroup.com, check out their resources, find out information about Dr. J, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
Missionaries.
And I'm actually going to be in Colombia next week, so.
As a missionary?
Yeah, I guess you'd call it that. We'll see how we actually define these terms here in a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right. Because, right. I wouldn't call a lot of stuff missionaries do being missionaries, I think.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a lot of conversation about who's actually a missionary and who's not. And
okay. Really?
what is it that entails someone being a missionary?
Good.
So.
All right. Glad that I'm not the only one with questions.
No.
All right. Well, that's good for this because we're hoping other people care about these answers too.
Facts.
Yeah. All right. Go to Patreon, $5. It's a website. You can go there. Give us $5 for
supporting us, and that way we can continue on this great journey of creating these awesome podcast episodes.
Hey, Joseph, what is on our website?
Merch.
Yes, that's correct, Joseph. Wow. Joseph.
Yes, Nate.
Where can you find our podcast stuff at?
On YouTube, on Rumble, on Spotify, on I don't even know where else.
Yeah. Go to other places and find it.
Hey, wherever you can find a podcast, you can find our podcast there.
I hope that's true.
I'm trusting that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple Podcasts.
All right, Joseph. Joseph, would you like to get the episode started?
Yes, please. Dear God, please, at this point.
Okay, Joseph. First question,
Are
Joseph.
we seriously going to be asking? Are you going to ask questions this way the whole time? I can't handle this. I'm going to have to hit the eject button.
Oh my God.
All
Okay.
right.
You hit the eject button and go to Guatemala or wherever you're going.
Colombia. But
Colombia, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Same thing. All right.
No, it's really not.
So, what is a missionary?
Okay.
I'm sorry, hang on. Joseph, what is a missionary?
Okay. I'm not going to respond in kind. It was shouting back an answer at you. So a missionary, just in the most broadest sense, is just one who is sent. Okay. So that's the broadest definition. Okay.
Right.
So like we're talking about like Christian missionaries, they are one who is sent. Obviously, usually by churches, through mission agencies, whatever it may be, but it's one who is sent to go about furthering the kingdom of God. Okay. That's, I think.
And that's the Christian definition.
That's the Christian. Yeah.
But nobody thinks about anybody else as a missionary except for Christians.
No. There's, other groups would say they have missionaries. Yeah.
Like
Mormons.
But they think they're Christians.
Well, okay. That's fair. Yeah. But they have like their Christian mission they do, or their Mormon mission. Excuse me. But they do. So, yeah. But so I think that, that's the most broadest definition. I think where it gets interesting is who, like, is it one who is sent for 10 days to go to the hills of, let's say, North Carolina to evangelize, right? Like, so is is that a missionary, or is it one that has to, if you're in America, is it one that has to actually like leave the country?
Right.
And is what they do when they get there, does that matter? And for how long are they there? Does that matter? So I think there's a whole lot of different answers you'll get of who is a missionary.
Okay, well, I'm going to be asking you all these questions later anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. So what is the difference between a missionary and just a Christian that tells whoever about Jesus that they come across?
Right. Well, and to be honest with you, that is where some of the semantics kind of comes into play.
Okay.
Because it's like, am I like when, like, so for example, sometimes you'll see in churches, like they'll like on like kind of like the way out of the church, or maybe the way out of the church parking lot, there'll be a sign that will say, "Now entering the mission field."
Okay.
And so therefore they would say everyone in the church is a missionary as soon as they're like leaving the church.
No.
And so that everybody's a missionary.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're just like, no, that's not the case.
Now everyone's a doctor whenever they take any medicine.
Right. I'm taking ibuprofen.
Yeah,
call me
I'm a doctor.
Right. So,
but you are really a doctor.
Well, but I am. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I think like that's one. Like I think that's one example, right? On one side, where like everybody's basically a missionary. If they're, as soon as they leave the church and they're going to go about representing Christ in the world, they're a missionary. Okay, they're one sent into society to tell people about Christ and to share God's love, those kind of things. Then you get the other maybe view of missionaries are only those who leave and basically take up residence in another country.
So I have to live there.
You have to live there. Like not going on a mission trip for 2 weeks, not even going to spend a summer down there. No, you're going, and that's where you're living.
I have to get a mortgage on a mud hut somewhere.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But you've got to be out of the country. That's a missionary. And so like, and it doesn't really necessarily matter where you're going. I mean, because like there'll be like individuals. I remember one time I was in Brazil and they were talking about missionaries from Brazil coming to the United States. And so like they were, that's what they viewed like these people were going to the United States to evangelize, to live here. They're missionaries.
That's BS.
Why is that BS?
Because America's awesome.
We don't need no missionary. Yeah.
No, it's not that we don't need missionaries. It's just like they're going to a better place to be a missionary.
Right. Well, I think that's
I'd like to get sponsored to go to America.
Well, but like in fairness, I think I kind of had the same view for a while with like people going to Europe, right? Like they're going to France or they're going to Spain and they're going to be missionaries in Spain, for example. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you're like, is that really missionary? Like,
I'm going to tell people about Jesus exclusively at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Right. Or if you're like, yeah, while
I don't know if you can go up there or not.
Yeah, but I'll go tell people about Jesus while I'm drinking my coffee at the cafes. Right. Like, or whatever. So, but if you look at it not just from the materialistic side, but you look at it from the, oh my goodness, these countries need Jesus. They need to hear the gospel. That's a whole different, because, like, so for example, I mean, in Europe, I mean, Christianity is such at a low point percentage-wise throughout the continent that absolutely there's justification of sending missionaries to these areas. And so in some parts of the world would see the United States in that same way now, even if we don't see ourselves that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's the difference? I kind of tend to take the perspective of the fact that, if we're here and we're just going about our daily lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sharing with people about Christ, or, doing service or whatever it may be. Like, for me, that's just being a Christian, right? Like,
right. Well, you can't do that here if you're in another country building wigwams or whatever.
Right. But if you're here doing that, like, you're from America, I'm from the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I'm living in Atlanta, and I'm just going about my life, sharing Christ and this kind of thing. I'm not really being a missionary, I wouldn't say. I'm just being a Christian. Okay. Right. Now, I could say I'm partnering.
You're on vacation. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm just living life. I'm working my job.
Yeah. I'm going to go tell people about Jesus on the beach in Fiji.
Okay, well, we'll get into some of those extremes in a little bit.
Let's go to Cape Cod.
Right.
And tell people about Jesus.
Okay. We'll get into some of those extreme things in a minute. But all I'm saying is, living just regular life.
And you know where the people need to know about Jesus the most?
Where's that?
At the bar.
At the bar.
Cape Cod.
And that's where you're headed.
And that's where we're going.
Okay. Sweet. All right. But
hey, church, sponsor us.
All right. But so I think that's like, for me, that's just like being a Christian is just like doing good unto others. It's loving our neighbor as ourselves. It's telling people about Christ. Like, that's just, for me, that's just what we are all supposed to do as Christians. Okay. And I do think it helps to make a distinction between the way we just live our lives normally as Christians and those who sacrificially choose to leave home and family to go serve Christ in another area for the sake of the gospel. I do think there's a distinction between that. And so for me, in my head, when someone says missionary, that's what I think about.
Someone who goes and lives somewhere else for the only purpose of telling people about Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not saying that's all they're doing, okay? Because they may be involved in, humanitarian aid.
That's why they're going.
Right. Or they may have to get jobs there to be employed to actually be in that country so they can tell people about Jesus, right? For me, that's why I make it a distinction. I think those that choose to go, and again, they're leaving family, they're leaving their comforts, their norms, and they're going to serve other people and other people groups for the sake of the gospel. That's, to me, in my head, what I think, that's a missionary.
Okay. Are there any missionaries in the Bible?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of going back to the way I was describing missions, like where you're actually leaving home and family to go and serve for the sake of the kingdom.
Okay. So Jesus was a missionary.
100%.
To tell people about himself.
100%. Well done, Nate.
He went and talked to people about himself.
Yeah. So like he, when I get that first
narcissism.
I
got to go tell everyone about me.
Right.
I'm out of here.
Right.
Bye, Mom and Dad.
Well,
good luck with the tables and the chairs. I'm leaving.
I'm on it. Never mind.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that I think that saying that Jesus is a missionary, I think that's a fair statement. Not just from the fact of his own missionary, if you want to put it this way, missionary journeys away from his hometown of Nazareth, right?
Okay.
Here, but actually in leaving heaven and coming and dwelling coming and dwelling here, that's a completely different, perspective. And so
culture shock.
Yeah. And that's what Philippians 2 describes, for example.
Okay.
Philippians 2 describes the fact that Christ laid down every right that he had to lay claim to, hey, I'm God. I don't have to go down there. Like, he laid that aside, and the attributes that he could lay claim to, he even laid those aside for the sake of being able to come here, right? Because he wasn't all powerful. He wasn't all knowing. He wasn't, couldn't be everywhere at one time, right? He laid all of that down so he could come and dwell here with humanity. And so I think that, yeah, absolutely, Jesus, if you want to use that term.
And he had to grow up the whole time.
He had to grow up.
A long time of just being a dumb kid.
Well, not a dumb kid, and a kid who had to learn.
Yeah.
So sure. Yeah. Like at the end of Luke 2, where it talks about the fact that Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature, right? So he had to actually grow in wisdom. Like, that was something that had to be developed and cultivated as he grew.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
But he never sinned.
Completely perfect.
Huh.
Yeah. But that's so in Luke chapter 4, Jesus stands up. So this is following the baptism where the Holy Spirit comes upon him, and he's gone through the 40 days in the wilderness being tempted, and then he comes in and he's back. So he's in Galilee. He comes to a synagogue and he sits down. The scroll of Isaiah is given to him, and he reads from the scroll of Isaiah. All right. So in Luke chapter 4, verse 18, Jesus quotes, he's reading again from the scroll from Isaiah. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And so here's Jesus, who has been anointed by the Spirit of the Lord to preach good news, and that he has been sent. And that's that big part. So he has been sent. And then in John chapter 20, we see, or 21 rather, we see where Jesus actually tells his disciples, "I am sending you even as I have been sent." Okay. And so it's that idea of this is the sending. And so I'm connecting this to the idea of mission and missionary, because he's sending them on mission as missionaries, right? They are leaving home. They are leaving family for the sake of the gospel. And
hadn't they already done that?
Yeah, they've already, but they're going to continue to do that.
Okay.
And so this is one of the really cool things about kind of church history. Like, all of the disciples all the apostles end up going to other places, to other areas. So, for example,
it's because they didn't like each other.
No, that's not true at all. They loved each other. And so, but for example, as tradition goes, Thomas went to India, and that's where
he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where India received the gospel, was through Thomas. And so you have all of these patterns, but
India was already India back then?
Not as we know it today, just in the region, the area. Yeah. And so that's where we see this, movement of them as missionaries going out. And the same thing is true with Paul, right? We see Paul making what's referred to as 3 missionary journeys throughout the book of Acts, before he begins to go to Rome, where he eventually will be martyred and killed. And therefore, all of Acts is really this following of the apostles going and doing mission work in these other areas. And it's not just like Paul alone. I mean, Paul has Timothy with him. He has Silas with him, and numbers of others, including the author of the book of Acts, Luke, is with him as well through parts of his journeys. And so, so throughout Scripture, we are constantly seeing this movement of the apostles doing quote unquote missionary work and being missionaries.
Okay. Beyond the Bible people, what are some of the most famous missionaries of all time?
Okay. So the first one that always comes to, all right, there's a couple different groups, I guess, or groups and then individuals. The Moravians, to me, are the ones that come to my mind.
Okay.
Initially.
I was thinking of Joseph Smith.
No.
Oh.
No. Just scratch that name out and keep moving.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the Moravians were a group that
no one's ever heard of these people, so
must not be that famous.
Yeah.
And, but no, the Moravians though were fascinating because they were a group of individuals that really started more of what we would know as the modern missions movement.
Is this a people group or is this a last name?
Okay, yeah, no, good question. So it's a people group.
Okay.
And so they're known as the Moravians. And so there's actually a Moravian church.
From where?
It's still in existence. So it's outside of Germany. It's in an area like outside of Germany. And it's a small group, right, of people, and it's even really it's much smaller today.
It's because they all left.
Yeah, well, but here's one of the wildest things about them. And a lot of people may not actually know about the Moravians. They may have heard about other individuals that I'll mention here in a little bit, but maybe not about the Moravians. But the Moravians really did spearhead a lot of the modern mission movement in the way that to the extreme of they sold themselves into slavery so that they would be taken to places where they could share the gospel. And so they were completely, willing to leave these or live these radical lives of just going, we'll go. And if we die, we die, but we're going to go take the gospel.
That's a good idea. You and a bunch of buddies could sell yourselves into slavery and then buy weapons to kill your slave owners. And then continue to go sell yourselves into slavery over and over and over again until you have all the money from all the people that you sold yourself to.
Why is this a good idea?
It's just a get-rich-quick scheme that I came up with just now. I mean, right?
Is it really that quick of getting rich?
Yeah. You can kill them the next day. Right?
Where are you getting these weapons from?
You bought them.
But you're not bringing them with you. Like, you're not going to get, if they're buying you, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah, he's got this bag of guns. We'll let him keep it. Yeah. No.
If I'm a good price. Right?
No, I don't think this is how this works at all.
All right, fine.
All right. So anyways, back to Missionaries. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't either.
Yeah, I know. And so the Moravians really spearheaded, I think, a large part of the modern mission movement. Okay.
All right. No one's heard of them. Next.
All right. Another one is William Carey, and he was a missionary to India. Okay. And again, you're like, I don't know who these people are. Right. I'll mention some in a little bit that you'll know. Yeah. Okay.
This is like if I asked you, what are some famous botanists? And you started naming people. I'm like, oh,
I don't know any.
Why did I even ask this?
Right. Okay. So so there's William Carey to India. There's David Livingstone.
I've heard of that one.
Okay.
He went to Greek. Never mind.
Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went to Africa.
Right.
Okay. You got Hudson Taylor.
Nope.
Okay. He went to China. All right. So Carey's living in the 1700s. Livingstone and Taylor, 1800s. Okay. All right.
Why have I heard of Livingstone before?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
All right.
And I mean, again, all of these, these three individuals, Carey, Livingstone, and Taylor, are fairly, big names in the missionary world. And I mean, they're huge names in the missionary world, but even in a lot of churches, they're discussed and talked about.
Okay.
But maybe okay, so I'll bring it into at least the 1900s. Mm-hmm. So people you may have heard of. Jim Elliot.
Nope.
You ever heard of Jim Elliot?
No.
No, really? That's wild to me. She grew up in church and everything.
Who? So he was a missionary?
Yeah, so he was a missionary.
All right, and Brazil.
Ecuador.
Damn. Okay.
All right. And so he was actually martyred. He was killed along with 4 others. As they were sharing the gospel with a tribe of Indians there in Ecuador. And his wife, Elizabeth Elliot, is an individual that others, had known. She's written some books and those kind of things. But
1900s.
1900s. So this is early, Jim died like mid 1900s. Okay,
Like in the 1950s.
when was this actual?
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
All right.
He was murdered.
Yeah, he was martyred. And then some people would refer to Mother Teresa as a missionary.
Right.
And again, most people have heard of Mother Teresa
Okay.
and her work in India.
She was nice and gave people food and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, but more than just that, I mean, so she was running orphanages.
Oh.
I mean, for the sick, those who were dying, those who were sick, those who were homeless. I mean, kids who were just completely abandoned.
My mom used to have a book about her.
Okay.
But she looked real creepy on the front, so I never opened it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so she did a lot of good, okay, for a lot of people.
And she was 1900s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So she, 1997.
Okay.
Yeah, 1997 is when she passed away.
Cool.
Anyway, so.
Them's is missionaries.
Yeah.
That everybody knows about.
Yeah, they know probably. I mean, a lot of people probably have heard Jim Elliot, definitely Mother Teresa. An individual that people have probably heard of, but they're like, they have no idea really what, he was all about, actually was St. Patrick.
Oh.
Yeah.
From St. Patrick's Day.
From St. Patrick's Day.
Cool.
And so, but we really.
Corned beef and cabbage. And
yes,
Guinness.
Guinness. And so most people are like what?
So that's a Christian holiday.
Well, it's celebrating a saint named Patrick. Yes.
Okay.
And now, again, how people celebrate that is not so Christian usually.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right.
And so he's.
I didn't know he was a missionary though.
Yeah.
I thought he was just a guy.
Okay. Yeah. Nope. He was a missionary. And so his work, I mean, as most people know, was largely in Ireland. Okay. So he's from Britain, goes to Ireland as a missionary.
My people.
Yeah. And so for Patrick, that was his missionary journey. So yeah. So that's probably someone that most people have, would have heard of. And so this is, back like in the 4th century.
Okay.
I mean, so this is a long time ago.
Okay. All the people that went to other countries and conquered the country for Christ. Is that missionary work?
No, that's a really good question. All right. So for example, I'm going to Colombia next week, as I said earlier. And so obviously in Colombia, like, most of South America, Spain came in, right? Conquered the people and then quote unquote introduced Christianity.
Right.
Some of it was forced, right? Some of it was, like become Catholic. I mean, that was, the deal. Become Roman Catholic. And others were not. And there, in the midst of all of that, there were Catholic missionaries in those groups. There were Protestant missionaries in those groups. I don't want to. And so I think when you're talking about territories or countries that ended up being completely conquered and taken over, and then it was like they put a Christian flag up and it's like this land is now Christian. I mean,
used to pledge allegiance to the Christian flag at the first school that I ever went to.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
No, that's a thing. People,
and we do that one first before America.
Right.
Yeah.
To make sure you understood that there was one flag above the other.
Right.
Yeah. Got it. And so I don't think, I think there's a lot of, there was just I'm trying to think of how to say this well. It was just messed up. I mean, I don't know how else to phrase it, right? Like when you're coming in and you're taking over a people, you're killing them to take their land, and then you're like, all right, now we're a Christian nation. I
mean, it seems like it worked pretty well.
Right. Well, but it was all.
There are a lot of Catholics down there still,
and that's true. I mean,
right.
But there's also a lot of Catholics. There are a lot of those that are in. They're Catholic in name only, right? Like they would say they're Catholic, but they're not practicing Christian at all. And there's others where the Catholic churches have really, and this isn't. And I want to be clear. this doesn't happen just in Catholic churches. It's happened in Christian, like Protestant churches as well, right? As Protestant missionaries have gone later. Okay. Now you're talking about a time, again, of invading, therefore that's Catholic churches that were connected to Spain, right? And so when we're talking about South America or Portugal, and then of course you do have the Church of England coming in, yada yada. But using those, so when there's a lot of mixture between the pagan religions that were there and the Christianity that was introduced to them.
Okay.
And so even for example, I was in a church one time, and I'll give two different examples. One of the churches I was in, they actually were the Catholic Church had so connected in to the witchcraft that was involved there in this territory that they were actually doing animal sacrifices outside of the church, like on the church grounds.
Okay.
As part of this, part of the service, because it was just so mixed together. And I don't know if the people...
They were just hungry.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if... No, they were making sacrifices. And I don't know if the people were able to really clearly differentiate one from the other, right?
Okay.
It just kind of gotten so blended together. And then I was at another church one time in another village, and I obviously didn't know the language, couldn't understand what was going on. And all of a sudden we were asked to, everyone was asked to kneel down. And so the whole congregation kneels down, and the missionary we were with, he was like, no, you don't kneel. And so we didn't kneel. So we just sat, and we didn't go down to our knees. He was like, because now they're praying to their own village's God.
Oh.
But this was happening in the midst of a church service. And so you have a lot of that kind of mixture that's happened.
So you're saying you don't think the conquer and missionary
I think it's awful.
Strategy is any good.
It's awful. But then at the same time, there was actually those that did really good. And so for example, I'm going to Santa Marta, Colombia, and there in Santa Marta, there's missionaries that were Catholic priests that came there, and they were caring for the sick. They were caring for the dying. And even when they were dying themselves, they were cared for by the people there, because of how much they had cared for others. Okay. So in other words, you did have good, and then it was unfortunately intermixed with this kind of, forced conquering, here's your new religion kind of thing. Okay. And so that's why it's this, for me, I'm kind of torn with it. But Protestant churches, so I speak about Catholic churches, but let me hit the Protestants real quick. Protestant churches have done similar things with going to countries and been like, oh, you need to dress like us, right? Right. You need to act like Westerners. Mm-hmm. No, don't do that. So there's been...
Get in line for your cross tattoo.
Right. Yeah, that would be the new Western missionary. Yeah, I know. And but no, I think that, so in other words, I think Catholic churches and Protestant churches both have done great harm in the name of Christ while trying to be quote unquote missionaries. Okay. But no, the conquering missionary, no, that's just awful.
Conquered for Christ.
Yeah, that's just awful.
That's my new missions.
That's
nonprofit.
That's what you're going with? Yeah.
And we're going to overthrow governments with it. That's what we're going to do. For Christ.
For Christ. Yeah. Right. We're going to bring in theocracies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Not your theocracy, our theocracy.
Right. Right. Your theocracy, bad. Our theocracy, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
What a tagline. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, right. That's the tagline.
Yeah.
Conquering for Christ. Your theocracy, bad. My theocracy, good.
Right. Just let it be. You'll get a lot of supporters.
Convert or die. Right?
But we're the good ones.
Right.
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, you would probably get a lot of support.
Yeah.
We're
missionaries.
I'm a little scared of how this would go, to be honest with you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's like a cult. But it's better than a cult.
Because
you remember how when we talked about cults and we were like, they could never get started nowadays?
Right.
Well, that could get started.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100% that could get started.
Oh, man, we're going to be rich.
I'm
We've
bailing.
come up with so many good ideas on this podcast.
I'm bailing from this idea from point one. I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, you do.
No, I really don't.
I'll send you out to places you can teach people about the gospel
For free. As you're overthrowing governments in the background.
And they'll have to listen to you. Because behind you will be a bunch of guns.
AK sitting out there. No, it's not good.
Why
Mm-hmm.
does anybody want to be a missionary?
Mm-hmm.
Or does nobody want to be a missionary and God is making them with AKs?
Okay. Number one, God's not making them with AKs. So
Okay.
let's clear that up real quick.
All right, so why would anyone want to be a missionary?
No, I think they feel called.
According to your definition.
Yeah.
Not the, hey, I walked outside of the mailbox and screamed Jesus at my neighbor.
Right. I think they honestly feel called to it. They feel called to go to other places and serve. And
Okay.
that's just, to me, that's just like,
But
that's why you would do it.
But
Because
if you
there's no
feel
gain
called,
in it.
If you feel called, why would you want to do it?
Okay. So if you like, all right, for me personally, like I felt called in college to go be a missionary. Okay.
Are you sure?
No, that's why I'm here right now. And so, but I was like, I felt like this, I was drawn to this sense of going and serving. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and still part of me has that bent in me, which is why I still go on the mission field a pretty good bit. Okay?
Which is why you want to go die when you're 80.
Yeah, I would
for Christ.
I would actually be okay with that. Like 100%. Like
Okay.
I would actually be okay with that.
So
That
you'll
sounds-
join when you're 80.
That's yeah. I'll no, I will not join your cause. Are you kidding me? What are we talking about?
Oh, man. Okay, cool.
I'm definitely not joining your cause. All right. Not even
Come
when I'm
on.
80. And so, no, and that sounds crazy. I know. Like, why would you just want to go? And I'm not saying like you just intentionally go, just put yourself in a place to die. I'm just saying at that older age, would I mind going and giving up my life for the sake of Christ? No. Okay.
All right.
But so right out of college, I worked with an evangelist from Brazil. Okay. So I worked 1 year with him. So we traveled around the U.S. We traveled around Brazil. I spent a couple of summers in Brazil, and I did feel this like tug, this pull. The first time I spent like that first summer down there, I was like, oh man, I want to come live here. Like I want to come. This is like come do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because actually it was in my second summer down there. I was running an internship program down in Brazil, and I was so looking forward to it. I was like, this is going to be like the catapult me, if you were, to missions work like full time. Okay. But being down there, I actually realized, I was like, man, I have such a heart to just pastor people in the United States who don't know, like, to help them grow in Christ. And then if I can be an individual to help send people, oh, that would be awesome. And that really became more of my burden. It's been a really cool 20-year journey of seeing that happen, of, pastoring individuals, sharing with them my heart for missions, and actually seeing people step into missions from that.
Okay.
So for me, it was about, you felt called and you felt a passion and a desire for a people group.
How do you feel called?
Well, I think it's the same way.
What does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great question just in general, but I think it's the same way as, like I feel called to be a pastor. I think there's individuals that, hey, I feel called to be in the business world. I feel called to be in the entertainment industry. I feel called to, whatever it may be.
I feel called to sit here and make fun of what you feel called to do.
Well, I think in a twisted way that actually is a calling.
Okay.
Because obviously you're doing like
For
Christ. I think there's a lot of things within Christianity that need to be critiqued. There's a lot of things within pastors and that need to be critiqued. And so I think that's actually pretty cool that you enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
And so,
and there's no one with a gun here.
No, there's not.
Making me do it.
You're doing it on your own
Yeah.
volition. Right. But so I think that, we just feel this passion, when I say call, you feel this, passion, this pull from the Lord, tug from the Lord to go and to serve in whatever capacity that is. For missionaries, it's generally like the Lord gives you this sense of, I want you to go serve in this country. Okay. I want you to go serve here. Or maybe it's in multiple and you're working within, an area or a region. And I mean, some of my heroes in the faith today are individuals who have given their lives as missionaries. And that I've had the great fortune, I feel like, to become friends with them, to know them. And one of them has even passed away. Actually, the church I'm going to in Colombia, the first time I was down there 10 years ago, it was with this missionary. Cool. And he introduced me to this church family, to the pastors there. And I've had an amazing 10-year connection with them ever since. But it was all because of a pastor named Alan Winter.
So you go down there to tell people that already go to church about Jesus?
No, yeah, for me, yeah, I know. For me, what I'm doing is it's like when it talks about the apostles in the book of Acts that are going and they go back to the churches they've been to strengthen the disciples, it says. They return to strengthen the disciples. Okay. And so for me, that's a lot of what I've been called to in Colombia. Now, it's different in other places I go, but in Colombia specifically, I go and minister in churches, and it's for their strengthening. So usually I'm speaking.
So you're a second-hand missionary.
I wouldn't even call myself a missionary, being honest. Like because I take trips down there that are, to different places between a week to 2 weeks long. Like I don't feel like I'm a missionary.
Train other people to be missionaries considered missionaries?
No, they would be those that are teaching and training unless they have already served as missionaries.
Okay.
Yeah, and which does happen quite a bit, like where you end up, like I know, for example, a missions pastor in our area, well, he retired from the missions field after being in the missions field for like 30 to 40 years. And,
too old to feel called to do it anymore?
Well, he felt called to come back, and so he did. And now he's...
Turns out his hearing just went, so he couldn't hear anyone calling.
Well, whatever. And so now he's back and he's serving as a missions pastor of a church. And that's largely what he does is, yes, he sends out teams, but he also is training individuals who feel called to go to the mission field, because he can do that as one who has, firsthand experience with it.
So that's why people want to become missionaries
I think it's
because they feel called to do
it, and feel this passion to lead people to Christ in other areas, to help establish churches, and some of it is like for like, along those lines. Obviously, you're wanting to share Christ and those kind of things, but a lot of people have this heart to, it could be on a humanitarian like level where they're just like, I want to go and help, individuals in these areas, have clean water, have healthier living,
What if you feel called to do it, but you hate it? Like you feel called, but there's no passion.
Man, that would be brutal. I don't know if that
Would you go?
I don't know if that happens. I don't know. I'm maybe there are people who do that. I don't know. That feels a little strange to me, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Like you tend to feel called to things you're passionate toward. Now, I'm not saying you don't. I think, like, I was even for me, I have felt called to say yes to something that maybe I didn't have the strongest conviction about, but I said yes to, entered in, went into that area of ministry or whatever it may be, and then once I'm there, then that passion and then that comes. But
isn't that what happened to Moses?
No, yeah. Moses was like,
right?
Oh yeah, he was
God called him to do something, and 100%. Then he was like, no.
Yeah, he was a reluctant prophet. He was like, me? No, like, I can't even talk well. Like, why should I go? Like, right. No. Like, who's going to believe me? So, yeah, no, I'm not saying there's
people
not a role.
Let go my, damn it. Oh. God, I'm the wrong guy.
That's right. So, no, I'm not saying there's never like this, like, hesitation, but I would assume that once you're there, something is stirred in you and it becomes like this passion that you have for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's others that we actually have an individual coming to our church this weekend, and she's coming and speaking about how the ministry she is working with helps to get people out of human and sex trafficking, and then through counseling helps them to begin to recover and to be restored. And so
that's missionary work.
That's missionary. I would call that missionary work.
Okay.
Because they're seeing people come out of human trafficking. They're helping them get counsel, and they also help them. And obviously they're sharing Christ with them as well. Yeah, and so
really,
yeah.
Hey, I know you're having a rough entire life, and you need medical attention immediately.
Right.
However, have you heard about Jesus?
Well, they're going to give them the medical attention they need.
What?
No, they're going to give them the medical attention they need, and they're going to give them the counseling they need, right?
Okay.
Because for the mental and the emotional trauma they've experienced. But, I mean, as a Christian, I believe wholeheartedly that what makes people whole, any of us whole, is Christ, is knowing Christ.
Okay.
And so, therefore, part of an individual's restoration into wholeness would have to include that component.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you're wanting to help them, even, this individual that I know, they do these things, but they even help them develop skill sets and those kind of things so they can have jobs and they can provide for families. And, it's a total, approach, if you were, a wholeness approach to an individual being restored. So yeah, I would call that a missionary as well.
If I was going to apply for your church's missionary position, what would I need on my resume?
For our church's missionary position? Like, in other words, if you wanted to be sent out by our church to go serve as a missionary in our country?
I don't know how you do it.
Okay.
We haven't had an interview yet. All I did was read the description on Indeed. So what kind of resume should I have? Do I need previous experience?
Yeah. No.
Can I is traveling just I drove to the town over once and screamed Jesus. Is that good enough?
Right.
Like, what do I? Yeah.
No, I think, to me, this is one of the cool things about missionaries. As I think there's some kind of there can be a misnomer that missionaries are those who are have this real in-depth biblical theological training. Okay. That can be there. That can be a part of it. But there are also missionaries, and the reason they're able to be, for example, in another country, let's say, for example, the Middle East, is because they can get a job as a mechanic. They can because that's their skill set, right? So, or whatever it may be. And so they're using their skill set, whatever that is. It could be a teacher, could be a professor, any kind of,
carburetors for Christ.
Right. I'm not saying that's a thing per se, but are there individuals that
KARS, Cars for Christ?
Oh Lord. All right. But I know someone, and that's the reason they had a work visa in the country they were in. That's the whole reason they were allowed to even be in the country.
Because they knew how to work on cars?
They owned an auto mechanic shop and provided employment to people there and that kind of thing. And that's how that was the way they were able to actually serve as a missionary there. And then while being there, can tell people about Christ. Okay,
so I have a question.
Yeah.
What if I just said, hey, I'm a Christian, and I moved to another country, opened a business, and I still just tell people about Jesus?
Yeah.
Am I a missionary now?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think, right. No, I think it's a good question. Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah,
we're opening up a building in,
right,
Hong Kong.
Right.
So I'm a missionary now.
Yeah, maybe you are. I mean, okay, so I think it's a good question.
Okay.
there's actually become this model. Used to be you would know someone was a missionary because they were sent from a mission agency and depended on raising support to be there.
Right.
Okay. Now that model has begun to shift. And there's a model what's called scattered, and it's the whole idea of taking your whatever skill sets you have and be able to go and have employment in another country.
It's like a way in
to serve there
instead of just for Christ.
Right. Well, yeah, but to be able to not be dependent on individuals providing funds. Okay.
Oh.
So it's like a movement away from just solely being dependent on people supporting you to be in another country.
So it's like undercover missionary work.
In a lot of ways. And you're oftentimes still connected to a mission agency.
Right.
And you definitely have a local church that's sending you, and the mission agency is able to help you transition there, right? With all the culture shock and the things that you may encounter. And sometimes you'll go through language school and all that kind of stuff. And so you have a support base and a support system as you're going.
Okay. But nobody knows about it.
Well, in some countries, you can't say it. You can't say that I'm here as a missionary.
So you're lying.
Sometimes we have to withhold some truth in different places.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that happens. I mean, it just happens to be able to get in, So we talk about being sent out, and especially, from America, we're leaving America to go these other places. I do think that there's a connection, and I do think it's maybe different than, I have a job and my job transfers me to, their branch in another country, right?
Yes.
And I'm just going there for work, but I don't necessarily maybe even feel called there. I'm not going there for the intentionality to see people come to know Christ, although I hope you would live out your Christian faith and your Christian walk there.
Right.
Yeah. And so...
Yeah, my company is transferring me.
Right.
I'm a missionary. Because I'm a Christian.
Right.
And I'm moving.
Yeah. And I think we just have to be honest about it, like honest about why we're going, what is the reasons we're going,
Okay, so does it matter? Like, does this title need to exist?
The whole missionary title? I don't know if it's as talking about needed to exist. This is for me.
Okay.
I think that when individuals choose to sacrifice by leaving, family or those kind of things for the sake of Christ to go serve in our country, that's like that missionary. I think the title there helps to bring honor. Okay.
Okay.
It's like okay. Let me finish this thought, because it's like those who serve in the military. Okay. Right. I mean, they're deployed.
Yes.
They're sent out on the service of our country. And so we give them the honor. We should. We should honor them for their willingness to go and to serve.
Right.
Okay. When
so when I see missionaries at church, I should say thank you for your service.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I'm just calling it for what it is. I mean, that's like when I see a veteran that's, like I was up in North Carolina just, a few days ago, and there was an individual that we were talking to, and he was a veteran, and thank you for your service. Thank you. And I think that's important to give honor to them. And I think the same thing for those that have gone and sacrificed and have given for the sake of Christ. Thank you. And that's why for me, when I have been around missionaries like Alan Winter or Frank Fortunato, like that's for me, that's one of the reasons I say thank you, or Richard Sharp. I mean, these individuals have been thrown in jail for the sake of Christ, right? I mean, it's been like, I know a lot of their stories, and you just know what they have sacrificed for the sake of Christ. And so I think there's a thank you in that. And so for me, that's why I kind of designate, like, I'll use the title for missionary for them, but I'm not going to use the title of missionary for just the person that's going, like me and the other individual that's going next week to Colombia for, a week. Like, no, like,
okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to minister in Colombia for a week. Don't call me a missionary. So,
I won't.
Yeah. But what's interesting is they do in Colombia. They will refer to me as a pastor and a missionary.
That's because they don't know the language. They don't know their own language.
Come on, man.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so but that just feels like there's got to be people that are just like, hey, I want you to pay for my life.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Sure.
Like I'm going to go serve in the missions field. No, I just want somebody else to pay for me to travel.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and there are people.
And color me cynical.
Right. No, like I do think there are people that abuse that.
Okay.
Right, 100%. But then I also know people who don't abuse that at all, and they do depend on funds being raised for the sake of their livelihood in these other countries.
Seems like most people. Do you think
No,
more people than not who attempt to be full-time missionaries are not supposed to be full-time missionaries, or not called to be full-time missionaries?
I don't know if I'd say most.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I have the rose-colored glasses on. I don't know. I just tend to think that I think a lot of people go and serve as missionaries, and especially if they're able to. Now, do I think that there's I'll say this. Do I think that there is an appeal to some people about going and being a missionary because that just seems really spiritual, right? Or that seems like a really cool thing to go do.
I think most people that got saved a week ago think they're supposed to be missionaries.
Yeah, and I'll especially if they've heard the language, right,
yes.
or heard the stories of missionaries.
Because
I can see where you're
they
coming
just
from.
got missionaried too, and now they're like, "Who can I do it to?
Right.
I'm going to go over to wherever, and someone at the church is going to pay for my whole life for
right,
the rest of my."
And that can happen.
Okay,
and that can happen.
That's why I say most.
Right, and I don't. But again, I don't think it's most. I do think there's a lot of people that go and they go serve on the mission field and whether it's for 6 months, for a year, whatever it may be, and then they realize, number one, I can't raise the funds to live this way, or number two, this is just not my thing. Like I think when I went and served with, this ministry for a year and spent a lot of time in Brazil, like it actually helped me to discern my call.
Well, how do you as a church decide who you're going to use tithe payers' money to send to wherever?
Okay, so like,
do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know if this is a good person to fund?
Okay, for me, it's often out of relationship, right? Like, so if we're going to raise support for this individual, I want to know them, and I want to know the organization they're with and what they're doing. Okay, and so those are the three things that are important to me. Like, it really is relationship oriented. And so when we support different individuals from our church, like if we're going to support an individual, let's say monthly, right? Or we give a couple of gifts a year to this mission agency. Same thing.
Gifts?
Yeah.
Huh?
Like financial gifts.
Oh, like checks. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like if we're going to support them financially, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
If we're going to support them financially, then I want to have a relationship with them, and I want to know them, and I want to know who they're working with and what they're doing. And it's the same thing for local ministry groups as well that we partner with.
Do you tell them to send you a spreadsheet with how many souls that they saved?
No, I don't need that.
Do they get 2 points if they don't speak your language?
Yeah, no.
That counts as 2 souls.
No, we're not.
Because it was harder to do.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Okay.
No, we're not doing that at all. And so I think that, yeah, it's just relationship. So, and there's an individual that again, that's coming this week, and I will encourage our whole congregation. Hey, if what this individual has said is that, this is someone I can trust and I can vouch for, and who they're working with, I can vouch for, I would support them. If you're thinking about supporting them, I would say yes, without question, without doubt, do so. And so I think that's it's just out of relationship. That's the way, for me, that's the way that it would work for us. You have the, relationship so that when they talk about their call, you know that they're doing the best that they really can to discern the will of the Lord for their lives and to hear from the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got to be honest, Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Spain was the best at it.
Because they conquered all the lands.
Because they converted a whole continent to Catholicism. That's pretty good.
Pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Nope. No. Just largely disastrous. Anyways.
Conquering for Christ. Go to the website.
No.
This is how I missionary from my basement. I go all the way down to the basement.
All the way right.
And push it out to everyone. Which seems quicker and
more effective.
Than going somewhere where nobody knows what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, go to Patreon, $5, like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This Podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show, and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff. You can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.